Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Jennifer Sathwaker here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 1 of What If Deku Was Iron Fist? I just wanted to greet you guys by saying, sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So we begin. Wow, this is so cool. I can't believe you really made this, Izuku exclaimed as he admired Momo's first ever successful creation, a Matryoshka doll. Just please don't break it. I've been working on it for weeks. The two were 4 years old, and the girl's quirk, creation, had manifested a while back. It allowed her to create any non-living thing as long as she could envision it and its necessary components. Her mother was an avid doll collector, and Momo adored her collection. She particularly appreciated the Russian Matryoshka dolls. With her quirk, she tried, and failed, again and again, to reproduce dolls with her power, but weeks of effort had led to nothing but disappointing results, until 2 days ago, when she finally made a flawless doll. I can't believe you mastered your quirk so quickly. You're gonna be such a cool hero. Mastered? Hardly. This is the first one of dozens that looks good, and I haven't managed to make another since, Momo said, feeling slightly disappointed. I'm sure you'll get the hang of it, Momo. Don't give up, he said, flashing his ever-hopeful smile to cheer up his friend. Her frown vanished and was replaced by a bright smile. Keep practicing, Momo, so that when my quirk kicks in, we can be awesome heroes together. Yeah, she said as the two high-fived. Momo Yaoyorozu and Izuku Midoriya were playing together in one of the many rooms of her spacious home. The two had been close friends for as long as they could remember, and this was because their parents were close business associates. Izuku was the son of Hisashi and Inko Midoriya, who ran the highly successful Midoriya Enterprises, alongside their friend Wendell Rand. They met roughly a decade ago through Wendell, who was a mutual friend. All three dreamed of being wealthy and wanted to start a successful business. However, unbeknownst to the two, Hisashi came from a place known as Kunlun. This mystical hidden village is concealed in another dimension, appears on Earth every 10 years, and can only be accessed via a bridge deep within Tibet's mountains. Hisashi was born to the ruler of the city and had an older brother. Being the youngest, he knew he wouldn't become the new ruler, so he decided to leave the city to find fulfillment elsewhere. Hisashi moved to Japan, where he became a businessman, helped found Midoriya Enterprises with Inko and Wendell, and fell in love with Inko. As Midoriya Enterprises grew, the three encountered the Yaoyorozu couple as they also sought to grow their own company. Through collaboration, the five became known as some of the wealthiest people in the world, and developed a close friendship to boot. Hisashi had built up a great life in Japan, but now he wished to return to Kunlun and bring his family along with him. Izuku had spent the night at Momo's home, and his parents soon came to pick him up for their trip to the mountains. The couple had a cup of tea while waiting for Izuku to finish dressing and for their friend Wendell to arrive. He was also invited because of how close he, Inko, and Hisashi were. Once Izuku was done and Wendell came, the four were off. The mountain was treacherous, with the four caught in a terrible blizzard. With his vision heavily obscured, Izuku misstepped and slipped. Inko reflexively tried to grab her son, but didn't mind her footing and tumbled along with him. The two slid at incredible speeds toward a cliff as their combined weight and momentum yanked Wendell and Hisashi down towards them, and snapped the rope that held Hisashi and Inko together. By some miracle, Inko and Izuku crashed on a nearby ledge, with her taking much of the impact and both being largely unharmed. Whilst they were relatively safe, Hisashi was dangling for his life. "Help me! Hurry or I'll fall!" he cried to Wendell, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. Hisashi never knew it, but Wendell despised Hisashi and hated himself for introducing him to Inko. He was madly in love with the woman, but never got the chance to confess because Hisashi made his move first. On top of that, he hated that he also had to share a significant portion of the company they started with him. He hid his emotions well enough over the years, but at this moment, all his hatred came bubbling up to the surface. Midoriya Enterprises, Inko, and Izuku. It would all be mine if you didn't ruin it. The hell are you talking about? Do something or else I'll die! Oh, I'll do something, all right. Wendell raised his spiked boot and stomped Hisashi's hand, causing him to fall and smash his head into a jagged rock below. Wendell paused to take in what had just happened before letting off a laugh. Ha ha ha! I did it! I actually did it! He's gone! Because of that idiot's trip, I can finally have everything I wanted! But at that moment, a rock flew by his head, and he turned to see the disgusted faces of Inko and Izuku on the ledge below him. He gestured to help them up, but the woman, with tears in her eyes, continued to hurl rocks at her husband's murderer until one finally connected. "Stop!" he shouted. "Inko, he didn't deserve you. I did this for you. Please stop this and let me help you. I won't hurt you. I love you. Shut up, you bastard!" The woman picked up her child and ran as far away from Wendell as her legs could carry her. She ran and ran until she felt that they were a safe distance away, and the two took cover in a cave. "Mom? Is Dad okay? Why did Uncle Wendell step on Dad?" Izuku muttered in a depressed tone. Inko, with tears continuing to trickle down her face, tried to reassure her child, but no words came out of her mouth, so she simply hugged the boy as tightly as she could. What should I say? Inko thought. What can I say? Why, Wendell? We trusted you. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN allows you to change your IP address, making it harder to track and securing your privacy. In addition to providing safe passage through the web, you can also expand the reach of your favorite streaming services, like Disney+. If you're from the United States, you won't be able to watch any of the MCU and Sony Spider-Man movies, but by switching your location to Japan, you can watch them whenever you want. Check out the link in the description to get 3 extra months when you purchase the 12-month subscription plan that costs $99.99 a year. This deal is for a limited time. And thanks to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video. Once having caught their breath, they continued to move through the treacherous mountain, and fate pulled yet another cruel trick. A pack of wolves began chasing them, and they ran for their lives. Inko spotted a suspended bridge ahead and hoped it would lead to safety. She continued to run and run, but the wolves got closer and closer. Her legs couldn't keep up for much longer, and those animals won't stop. In her mind, there was one thing she could do. "Please take care of yourself, sweetie," she whispers in Izuku's ear. "Mom? Grow up to be a strong boy, okay? Get to safety and find the Yayorozu family. They'll take good care of you." Inko placed Izuku on the bridge and broke into a sprint after the wolves. "Mom! No!" The boy watched his mother attempt to fight the wolves as they slowly tore her flesh apart. "Run, Izuku! Don't look! Just run! I'm okay! Just run for me, please! I can't lose you too!" His eyes filled up with even more tears as he ran across the bridge. Thanks to the time his mother had bought him, he could get some distance between himself and the wolves. But that didn't last long. The wild beasts attempted to ambush the boy yet again, but men with crossbows killed some and scared the others off. These were scouts from Kunlun, and after inquiring about who Izuku was, they let him take refuge in the city. Izuku begged and pleaded for at least one of them to help his mother, but they knew from his story what most likely had happened. To give him peace of mind, one scout left to confirm what they already knew, and returned with what remained of his mother's jacket. After this, Izuku was taken to a house in the city to rest. Here he cried and cried as a rage boiled inside of him for Wendell Rand for having torn his life apart. After roughly 2 hours, the scouts that had brought Izuku returned and took him to the ruler of the city, named UT. UT felt pity for his nephew's despair and wanted to help him in any way he could. "I can't imagine the grief you feel, young man. We shall do anything we can to soothe your soul. If there's anything you want, simply name it. We hope to make you happy here, Izuku." "All I want is revenge for what Wendell did to my parents!" UT was quite disappointed by the answer. "Unfortunately, that we cannot give. Revenge must never be given as a gift, for it is a weapon that cuts both ways and cuts deep. However, we can offer something far more precious," he said as he led Izuku into a different room and introduced him to a large, muscular man. "This is Lycon. You may call him the Thunderer. Should you so wish, he will train you in the ways of martial arts. Perhaps through strengthening your body and spirit, you may turn aside your hatred." Izuku accepted the offer, and so his training began. It was challenging and borderline torturous at times, but under the tutelage of the Thunderer, he proved himself to be a martial arts prodigy. This was helped by the fact that the Thunderer wouldn't settle for anything that deviated even the slightest bit away from perfection. Along with his training, UT scheduled weekly meetings with him. The two would meditate together, have tea and a meal, and talk for as long as Izuku wanted. These acted as sort of therapy sessions for the boy. But these sessions weren't just about his parents' death, but anything Izuku wished to discuss. Though Yuti was too busy to be with him at every moment, he made it his priority to act as Izuku's guardian and provide him with the support he needed to grow up to be a strong man in both body and mind. The sessions were a big help, but Izuku was a little confused by all the attention he was being given and decided to ask about it at one of their meetings. Yuti happily enlightened him. "You see, Izuku, Hisashi wasn't just your father, but my brother as well." Izuku was taken aback by the revelation. "So you're my—" "Yes, I'm your uncle. Hisashi left Kunlun a decade ago because he felt like he had no place here. He was my younger brother, so that meant I was the next in line to become the ruler of the city. With this in mind, he told me that he wanted to leave and find fulfillment elsewhere. It broke both our hearts to be separated, but he promised to return one day. So on the day we found you, I was filled with joy, hoping that we would finally be reunited. But then..." He paused as a tear rolled down his face before continuing. "Then I learned that he was murdered on his way back. We were so close to being together again, but now so far. That's why I want to make sure you're well, Izuku. We're family, and I want you to be happy and live a good life," he said as the two hugged each other tightly. By the age of 14, Izuku had outclassed several of Kunlun's most well-trained fighters. In addition, he mastered many fighting styles, became skilled in manipulating chi, and spent several hours a day hardening his fists into weapons by plunging them into hot sand and gravel so that wood and even stone couldn't withstand his punches. Thanks to his diligence, he had become an accomplished martial artist and wished to attempt one more thing, a challenge that few had undertaken and even fewer had passed: the test of the Iron Fist. He made his request to UT, and he reluctantly gave Izuku the necessary instructions. "Very well. If you wish to take on this trial, you must journey to the cliffside where Xiao the Undying resides. You will see large doors with writing carved into them as you approach. That writing is a challenge. Shout it out as loud as you can, and the fire-breathing serpent will reveal itself to confront you. Xiao is a dragon lord, eternally condemned to guard the molten heart torn from its body long ago. And it is that molten heart that you seek. If you can defeat the serpent, you may enter its cavern and claim your prize. However, a word of caution. Once you dare to challenge the serpent, it will not rest until either it is defeated or you have died. So surrender is not an option. Once it is called on, there is no turning back. Do you understand?" "I understand," Izuku said as he bowed and left UT's chamber. As per the instructions given, he journeyed to the abode of Xiao the Undying and called out the challenge. The dragon emerged from the doors and their battle began. The beast shot a fire blast, but Izuku easily evaded and countered with a solid punch to the right side of its body. As intended, it stunned the dragon, but only for a moment, and it returned on the offensive. This dance continued time and time again, with Izuku countering, but nothing kept the beast at bay. At least, not for long. It was beginning to sink in how precarious this test truly was. In a moment of desperation, Izuku noticed a dragon-shaped scar on the dragon's body. "Wait, could it be?" he thought as he lunged at the scarred area of the dragon's body and covered it with his own. The beast let out an ear-splitting screech as it attempted to free itself from his grasp. Maybe it is, the place where his heart was taken from him. His weak spot. The heat coming from the scar was almost unbearable, but Izuku clung to the beast for as long as he could. Soon the dragon suddenly began to fall limp, and eventually stopped moving. Izuku didn't know it, but that scar was the source of the beast's power, and exuded potent mystical energy that sustained its life. This is why the scar gave off the heat so intense that it blistered his skin. Covering the scar with his body obstructed the flow of energy, thus defeating the serpent. Izuku knelt from the exhaustion of having held onto a raging beast and felt excruciating pain in his chest. The heat from the beast's scar had bestowed him with a tattoo in the same shape as said scar. Having caught his breath after a quick rest, he moved into the serpent's cavern and searched for a cauldron that held Xiao's molten heart. It was an easy find, given the place was pitch black and the only light present was from the cauldron. He walked up to it and gazed briefly into its light. "So beautiful," he softly said to himself in awe of the seething mass of light that was before him. To claim his prize, Izuku gently bowed in respect, raised his arms, and plunged them into the cauldron. He let out a scream in excruciating agony before doing it repeatedly until his fists began to glow, and he could tell that he had done it. This light, this incredible feeling in my hands, this is the power of the Iron Fist! Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. First, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has got you covered. Our We the Celestials My Hero Academia and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Second, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details can be found in the description below. Last, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, then I'd like to extend you an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being that we only accept members from 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have a great day.